Welcome back to the Stoic Spirit. Let me ask you something. Have you ever experienced a moment when someone who hurt you deeply, abandoned you, or left you with emotional scars unexpectedly reappeared in your life? It's such a strange and unsettling feeling, isn't it? You probably thought their exit was permanent. You may have worked hard to heal, to move forward, to close that chapter for good. But here they are again, acting as if no time has passed, as if nothing ever happened. Why do they come back? And maybe more importantly, how should you handle their return? These questions aren't as simple as they might seem. There's a mix of confusion, frustration, and maybe even curiosity that bubbles up when someone who caused you pain suddenly seeks to re-enter your life. While it might feel personal, the truth is, their behavior often has less to do with you and more to do with unresolved issues they're carrying, emotions, fears, or needs they haven't come to terms with. In today's video, we're going to explore why this happens and, more importantly, how the wisdom of Stoic philosophy can guide you through this emotionally charged situation. Stoicism offers us a timeless reminder. You cannot control what others do, but you can control how you respond. This is where your emotional resilience truly comes into play. When someone from your past shows up, it's not about reacting out of anger or confusion. It's about staying grounded, keeping your peace intact, and making decisions that align with your well-being. Whether you choose to welcome them back into your life or firmly close the door, the key is ensuring that you remain in control of your emotions. Stoicism teaches us that your peace is your power. You don't have to let someone else's actions pull you into a whirlwind of pain or uncertainty. Instead, you can approach the situation with clarity and strength, letting reason, not emotion, guide your response. This video isn't just about understanding their motives. It's about using that understanding to protect your peace, maintain your inner balance, and make thoughtful choices for your emotional health. Stick with us until the end, because how you handle this moment could either reinforce the healing you've worked so hard for, or pull you back into a cycle you've already outgrown. Ultimately, this isn't just about them. It's about you and your journey toward emotional freedom. Let's dive in and uncover the Stoic strategies that will empower you to face these moments with wisdom and grace. Let's take a closer look at why this happens. One key reason is guilt. Guilt is one of the most powerful emotions a person can experience. It's deeply uncomfortable and often pushes people to act in ways they hope will ease their inner conflict. When someone hurts you, they may not fully grasp the weight of their actions at the time. Perhaps they acted impulsively, selfishly, or even without realizing the impact of their behavior. But as time passes and the dust settles, they're left to face the consequences of what they've done, and that's when guilt begins to surface. Sometimes it's the absence of your presence that forces them to confront this reality. Without you in their life, they might start to see the pain they've caused in a way that no other experience could make clear. That guilt weighs on them, leading to questions like, did I make the wrong choice? Was it worth it? They might even feel regret, especially if they see you thriving, healing, and moving on without them. The realization that they've lost you, possibly for good, can be a painful wake-up call. This guilt often drives them to return, seeking forgiveness or reconciliation, not necessarily for your sake, but to soothe their own discomfort. They might believe that making amends will help lighten the burden they feel inside. However, it's important to understand that guilt alone doesn't always signal real growth or a genuine change in character. In many cases, their return is less about true accountability and more about relieving their own emotional pain. From a Stoic perspective, this is where wisdom comes in. We cannot control what others feel or do. Their guilt and their decision to return are external factors. What truly matters is how you choose to respond. Stoicism teaches us that our peace and emotional well-being are rooted within ourselves, not in the actions or emotions of others. When someone returns, motivated by guilt, remember, their feelings are theirs to manage. You don't need to carry the weight of their emotional baggage or let their actions disrupt your peace. Whether you choose to welcome them back or keep your distance, the decision should come from a place of clarity and inner strength. Your focus should remain on your own growth and healing. Let their return serve as a reminder of how far you've come, but don't let it derail your progress. True peace is something you cultivate from within, independent of anyone else's guilt or regrets. 2. Fears of losing you. One of the strongest reasons someone who hurt you might return is the deep, often subconscious, fear of losing you forever. This fear isn't always about love or a genuine desire to reconcile. Instead, it's often a realization that they may have lost someone truly important in their life. At the time of leaving, they might not have fully understood your value, but with time and distance, the absence of your presence becomes impossible for them to ignore. This fear of loss can stem from many emotions. Maybe they didn't recognize the depth of your connection until it was gone. Perhaps they took you for granted, assuming you'd always be there, no matter what. But when your attention, affection, and support are no longer in their life, they begin to see how much they leaned on you, and the thought of living without you becomes overwhelming. This fear might be triggered by loneliness, rejection, or even the sight of you moving on and thriving without them. Human beings are wired to resist loss, especially when it comes to relationships. That's why someone who once caused you pain might return, not because they're ready for a healthy, meaningful connection, but because they fear you slipping away completely. For them, it's not always about regret for their actions or the hurt they caused. Instead, it's often about their discomfort with the changes in their world. They may want to reclaim a piece of what they lost, not because they've grown or changed, but because they're struggling to accept your absence. From a Stoic perspective, this is where our inner strength comes into play. We can't control their fears, emotions, or choices, but we can control how we respond. If someone comes back into your life out of fear, it's important to recognize that this is their internal battle to face. It is not your responsibility to fix their insecurities or calm their fears. Your peace, your stability, comes from within. Their return doesn't need to shake that. As a Stoic, you are guided by the principle of detachment from outcomes. You don't need to carry their emotional conflict as your own. Stay grounded, focus on your well-being, and remember, their fear is theirs to navigate. Your peace remains in your hands. 3. Validation cycles. One of the main reasons someone who hurt you might reappear in your life is their need for validation. As humans, we often seek external validation to feel worthy and valued. And for some people, this desire can become a driving force behind their actions. Validation in relationships isn't just about feeling appreciated. It's about reassurance. Reassurance that they matter, that they're desirable, and that they're capable of forming meaningful connections. When someone leaves after causing you pain, they might initially feel relieved or satisfied with their decision. But over time, they could begin to notice an emptiness inside, a void left by the validation you once provided. Your affection, attention, and affirming presence may have been a source of self-esteem for them. Without it, they might start to feel irrelevant, invisible, or incomplete. This void often creeps in unexpectedly, They may not have realized how much they relied on your care and support until it was no longer there. And as this emptiness grows, it can push them to question their choices. Did I make the right decision? Was walking away worth it? This internal conflict might lead them back to you, not out of a genuine desire to repair the relationship, but because they crave the reassurance you once gave them. The truth is, their return may have little to do with making amends or acknowledging the harm they caused. Instead, it could be a way to soothe their own insecurities and fears. They might hope that your willingness to accept them back shows that they're still valued, still worthy, still important. But this cycle can be deeply unhealthy. It shifts the responsibility for their emotional well-being onto you, disregarding the hurt they may have caused. A true Stoic understands that validation doesn't come from others, it comes from within. Your worth isn't tied to someone's return, nor should it depend on whether they still see you as valuable. When they come back seeking validation, it's a reflection of their internal struggles, not a measure of your importance. As Stoics, we are taught to remain grounded in our own peace. When someone who hurt you returns, it's not only a test of their intentions, but also a test of your character. How you respond in this moment says a great deal about your emotional growth and resilience. Think of this moment as a crossroads. You can choose to let their return shake your peace, or you can rise above the emotional chaos and approach it with clarity and self-control. This is where the practice of Stoic detachment becomes invaluable. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care about the person. It means you let go of any unhealthy attachment to outcomes. If they return wanting reconciliation, take your time. There's no need to rush into a decision or let your emotions cloud your judgment. Remember, your peace and well-being are your responsibility. They don't depend on whether this person stays or leaves again. When someone who hurt you reappears, it's natural to feel a mix of emotions: confusion, anger, sadness, and perhaps even longing. You might be tempted to forgive them instantly, to give them another chance, or to let them back into your life as if nothing happened. But Stoicism teaches us not to let external events dictate our inner state. So, what should you do? First, pause. Don't act impulsively or let your current emotions take control. Give yourself space to reflect. Ask yourself important questions. Why are they coming back? What do they really want from me? Is their return driven by genuine remorse, or are they simply seeking validation? Understanding their motivations is key. If their return stems from selfish needs rather than true growth or accountability, you'll need to consider how re-engaging with them might impact your peace. Next, check in with yourself. Are you truly ready to reconnect with this person? Have you healed from the pain they caused? Or do you need more time to rebuild your emotional strength? Your well-being should always come first. Finally, remind yourself that your happiness doesn't depend on their presence or absence. True inner peace comes from within, not from external validation or someone else's approval. The Stoic path is about mastering your own responses, regardless of what others do. Their return is, in many ways, an opportunity for you to demonstrate the strength of your character. Will you react with anger or bitterness, or will you rise above the turmoil and respond with wisdom? Stoicism encourages us to remain calm and composed, no matter how turbulent the situation may feel. This is a moment to act with deliberate intent, not emotional impulse. Detach yourself from their actions and focus on what truly matters: your inner peace. Whether you choose to let them back into your life or not, make that decision with clarity and self-respect. When someone who hurt you returns, it's easy to let emotions take over. But with the wisdom of Stoic philosophy, you can navigate these moments with grace and strength. Remember that while their actions are beyond your control, your response is entirely up to you. Let their return be a reminder of your growth, your resilience, and your ability to stay grounded. You've come a long way. Don't let their reappearance derail your progress. Instead, use this as an opportunity to reinforce your inner strength and maintain the peace you've worked so hard to build. If you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe to the Stoic Spirit for more insights on how Stoic philosophy can empower your life. And if you've faced a similar situation, share your story in the comments. Let's talk about how we can navigate these challenges together.